Okay, I'm going to do this extra practice and another warm up for our quiz on 4-4 to 4-6. So, our first problem here, this is just one of the scenarios. You're going to see all five scenarios on your quiz, but regardless, they're all set up the same way. I will give you one of the zeros, you're going to find the remaining. So, whatever the degree is, that's how many zeros we're going to need. So, -3 I told you is a zero. So that means when we go through this process, we must get a zero at the end. Okay, so bring down this first number. So the coefficient was a 2. We bring down the 2. Then we multiply. Then we add. So we get a -1. Just be careful of your signs. If you need to, use a calculator. This is going to add up to a -2. I get a +6. When I add, I get a 1. And I feel good because we have a 0. So now what's left over is a cubic. So this is going to be the scenario where we factor by grouping. So this really means 2x cubed minus 1x squared minus 2x plus 1. And we want to find the remaining 3 answers. So when I split this down the middle, on the left, I can factor out an x squared. So that leaves a 2x minus 1 inside. Since I see a 2x minus 1 in parentheses, it has to appear on the other side. And what we have to do is just factor out a -1 then. So if I factor out a -1, we're back to this previous line. So -1 times 2x is -2x. -1 times -1 is the +1 from the original equation. So that allows me to see x squared minus 1, 2x minus 1 equals 0. Now this can be factored more. That's how we're going to get 2 answers. So from just this is a perfect square minus a perfect square. I'm going to have x plus 1, x minus 1, and then the 2x minus 1. So now I see all the factors. Now I can see the answers. -1's a solution. +1's a solution. To set this equal to 0, to know what makes a 2x minus 1 0, I add a 1, but then divide by 2. That's where the 1/2 comes from. So the 1 given and the 3 we just found, there's all 4 zeros. Okay? So now the next problem, this is showing the reverse process. So you're going to see this as your question number 6 on your quiz, where you're going to write the rule based on knowing that 2's a 0. So if 2's a 0, then I know x minus 2 is a factor. And then x plus 5 must be my factor if -5 is a 0. And then x plus 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these two binomials together. I'm just going to do FOIL, and I'm going to end up with x squared. My outers and inners will add up to an 8x, and I get a 15. Okay, now I still need to take a binomial times a trinomial. That's where I'm going to distribute the x to everything. That's not hard. So it's x cubed plus 8x squared plus 15x. Now I'm going to come around and distribute the -2. And I like lining up my like terms. So when I take -2 times x squared, I get -2x squared. I'm going to have a -16x and then a -30. And here's your rule. Okay, and then this rule, you could type in your calculator. If you hit graph, you would actually see that your x-intercepts are 2, -5, and -3. But here's the cubic function. It's x cubed plus 6x squared minus an x minus 30. And you're done. Okay? The last problem is just a factoring. So the last 2 problems on your quiz, this is all we did in 4-4. So section 4-4 dealt with just practicing the different techniques of factoring completely. So we're not solving, we're just factoring. So when I see this problem, I know it's x squared, x squared. Okay, I can put that in right away because it's quartic. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. And the fact that this middle term is x squared, I just need to think of two numbers that when you multiply gives you a -12. So I know it's a plus and a minus, but then add up to a 1. So I must put the 4 here and the 3 here, and I am finished. There is nothing else there. You can't factor this. Now, if this was the minus and I had x squared minus 4, then I could say x plus 2, x minus 2. But since it's the sum of perfect squares, you're finished. So that's all I need to see. We're not solving anything. If this was an equation, you would get plus or minus root 3 and plus or minus 2i. But we're not asking for the answers. It's just simply factoring. Okay, so that took 5 minutes, a little over 5 minutes to complete those 3-question warm up. So here's what I'm going to do. I don't know how many people actually watch this to the end, but if you did watch this, you need to send me a message through Schoology. Simply send a message and just let me know that you watched this video, and I will give you 2 bonus points on your quiz. Okay, so please let me know if you watched this. Hopefully it was helpful for you. Take care.